right, welcome back, guys, to the Hits Objective podcast, where we hit the objective and manifest the goals and dreams that we truly aspire for. Today, we're going to be talking about a very special topic, and keep in mind, note well, that every topic from now moving on will be very special. All right, and that topic is the idle mind, parenting, and overcoming stress. Of course, before I go into the video, I really want to shout out Dream Gadgets for providing the merch today. Without them, I would be left without a shirt, and for all the women watching, well, you would be left to view my angelic physique, which I don't want. I want you to focus here right now, okay? So Dream Gadgets, they provide an array of technological devices. We're talking gizmos, gadgets that you're used to, ones that you might not know of, and ones that may come to be. And of course, they're very efficient. They provide a layaway plan where you can deposit some monies down, get your device after you've paid in full. They even do delivery. They make it that easy for you. So, I mean, let's skip the exorbitant prices at the store and skip the fact that you might have an exorbitant price, or, that whole process of going through the ordering. You could just hit them up in the DM, you let them know what you need, and they get it for you. They make it that easy. So check them out. I'll leave a link in the description below, okay? So moving on to what we're going to be talking about today, I really want to talk about parenting as for starters. And the reason why this is so special to me is because parenting, it starts everything that you see around you, the good and the bad, and you'll understand what I'm saying as we move along into the conversation, okay? So we're living currently in a very technologically advanced era. Things have become quite disconnected in comparison to where it was. And one could concur that, Michael, this is evolution. It's what's happening everywhere. It's part of our Homo sapien experience. It's part of the evolutionary experience of advancement. That could be true. It could also be true that a lot of the social media and a lot of the inductions of these new facets of life that we all know about could be very well damaging, especially to our children. And I'm not personally a parent as yet, of course, an aspiring father. I've worked with the youth growing up. Generally, I have younger siblings, so I have a basis to speak on this. A lot of people find it awkward when someone talks about parenting and they're not a parent as yet. Let's not be so limited-minded. Let's keep in mind that, you're not the first to invent the wheel, and we could all learn something from each other. And we can learn from good experiences, and we can learn from bad experiences. And a child could have a valuable word that you just may be able to digest and use for your own personal gain. We find that nowadays there's a huge disconnection with how things happen. Maybe it might be because of the influence of hyperinflation and the fact that right now there's just so little time on the board. But the children are suffering from this screen time and this social media presence that so heavily weighs on their shoulders. And I mean, in my time, and I was born in the 90s, to me, that was like just the other day. It wasn't like that. The societal pressures of life were different. They were less. I could tell you that for certain. I didn't grow up thinking about if someone would like my photo or how many likes I had on a photo. That was not important to me. And right now, that is probably one of the most important things to the children, likes on photos and having that social presence, not even necessarily in the physical, but a virtual social presence, which is interesting because it again creates another platform for communication and another platform for growth and maybe even learning. But you find that in truth, it's a really superficial way for the children to experience that part of their lifetime. We're going to be a child only for a certain amount of time, and a lot of what you go through in your childhood weighs in on what you do as an adult. And I can tell you, it's super important that parents are invested in the lives of their children, not just because that's your duty, but because you have been given an opportunity to guide a soul, to guide a person, to guide a responsibility through an experience that could be good or bad, right? And that is no easy task. And I can tell you, a lot of people take parenting lightly because you see it happening all the time. Of course, there are a lot of ills in society that cause this, poverty being one of the main ones. And of course, people fall victim to this and have kids indiscreetly. And you might say, well, is there such a thing? Well, there is, because there's no point in having a child that you cannot take care of, and you're fully aware of that, right? So we find that there's a lot of problematic thought processing going on when it comes to having children, parenting them, and understanding that this is not a simple task, that this is a lifetime task. And if you're not suited for it, and when I say suited for it, I mean if you're not ready to go all 10 toes in on it, that you should stay away from it, right? I feel that there's a super important need for the involvement of fathers. This show is going to be about, touching base with the guys a lot. And I really have to press on the guys for a second there. You realize that a lot of the fathers, and I mean, nowadays you see a little bit of a change with that. You see that some of the younger fathers are realizing that, there's a need for their presence. Generally, as we have always known it to be, there is a lack of fatherhood going on. And I could tell you, this is a main influence for crime. It's a main influence for the idle mind. A man is supposed to be a leader in the family. That's his job, to manage. He's the manager. He manages. And of course, if he's unable to do that, or if he's not even there or present, and there's not a father figure, so to speak, because a child doesn't necessarily need his biological or her biological parent, but they need the figure. They need the person there, and that person needs to have the utmost level of unconditional love towards that child in order to see them through the experience. And the fathers are lacking, and if the leadership is lacking, you realize that that's where the idle mind comes in, especially for these young men. A lot of young men have a problem with how to live this life because there's so much societal pressure on what a man is supposed to be and what a man is supposed to produce or provide. And these young men have no grip or do not have an iota of an understanding of where to begin with this. And it's because there's a lack of guidance. You see the mothers trying all the time, and I just want to say big up to the moms out there who are trying to be fathers, but it's just not your job. That's just not what you're molded to do. That's not what you were sculpted to do. And of course, because of that, you find that these boys go astray, and it's mainly because they're looking for fatherhood in other people, and sometimes they find fatherhood in the wrong people, be it their friends or other people again who do not have the unconditional love that is required from a parent, from a father to his child. I just wanted to place emphasis on something that my dad told me growing up. You're better off walking for nothing than sitting for nothing. And it resonated with me heavily, especially during my time of not really knowing where I was going or what I wanted to do, during about maybe you could say 16, 17, thereabout, just trying to get a job and what have you. And it resonated deeply with me because I realized that life is all about movement. If we know what the universe is made of, we know that vibrations and frequencies are what make up this process that we're now experiencing, that we're perceiving. And without movement, there's nothing. And with him telling me that if you could it's better to just move for nothing than to sit for nothing, it resonated so deeply because I figured, well, that makes a lot of sense. If I'm moving, then I'm gathering momentum. If I'm moving, then I'm experiencing. If I'm moving, then I am seeing, I am doing. And when you do, you get results. You get no results sitting down and, sulking and feeling that maybe perhaps someone is just going to come and swoop you off your feet and save the day. This life doesn't work that way. Okay, guys? So when you have that idle mind, and some of us like to blame our parents for it, and largely parenting does definitely have a lot to do with the idle mind, but keep moving. If you stop moving, nothing will happen. And that's just something that just resonated so deeply, and I've kept moving. So thank you, Dad, for saying that. And I hope all of you guys who are listening could keep moving. You don't even need to know what the destination is, because the destination is the journey. That's what it is. Once you start moving, things become clearer, and it's as easy as that. So going back to parenting, I want to say to parents that we're living in a very technologically advanced era, a time where the screen has become king and social media has become queen. And parents, your efforts need to mean something to your children. It's not just about you providing them with a platform to survive, or providing them with the basic fundamental needs of a human being. It's about investing your time, your quality time. You hear this all the time growing up. You always heard about it, right? Spending quality time. What is quality time? What is quality time? The truth is, the rules of the system, the people who created this capitalist system that we currently live in, they've made it so stringent, so difficult, that you only have just a little bit of time to yourself. You work for 9 to 12 hours, you sleep for 7 hours, 8 hours, the time that you need to take to go to work and bathe and shower and all of that is probably a couple of hours. Before you know it, out of a 24-hour day, you probably have 5 hours to yourself that you can use for yourself. And mind you, you have laundry to do, it's a lot, guys. Okay, they've made it in this way, and it's gotten so serious, especially with the hyperinflation, that right now moms and dads have to work. Both mothers and fathers have to invest their time in making the coin, because things have just gotten so expensive. And how do you leap over a hurdle like that? How do you spend quality time where you just don't have the time and you need the money to continue moving? So it's about breaking this cycle. It's about finding equilibrium in your current circumstance. Okay, and that's the thing. This world has made things in such a way where it's created this one size fits all ideology, and that happens from birth right up until you get into work. You see it happens all the time. You go into school. No one said that little Timmy had the mental capacity to do mathematics. Maybe he was just great at sports, but he has to pass the same exam that little Richard has to pass. And if little Richard just happened to be more cognitively inclined, then little Richard would pass the exam. But then what happens to little Timmy when he's now being judged, scrutinized on the basis of what he gets on this exam? And you see it happening all the time with institutionalized education. These kids don't have an opportunity to choose what they want to do. And I'm not talking about genders or anything like that. I'm not going so far, but I'm saying that the kids have no chance to even have a thought processing on what really works for them in their creative self. And that's where parents come in. These kids are already faced with a high level of pressure from society. They have to pass these exams, and they have to do this, and they have to do that. All of these have tos, mind you. No one said, who said that? No one gave the green light on why we have to do this, or why all of this even matters in any case. But we're just here and we're doing it, and that's fine. But keep in mind, guys, that the children are the future. And if all the children grow up so heavily disconnected, and if all of the children grow up without having a source of a true understanding of love and experience, and why things work the way they work, our future is doomed. And we don't see that. And you see it happening all the crime rates and the way things are happening nowadays. It's different. Right now, back in the day, you have a problem if a guy well, you all might, fight it out, maybe even shoot it out. You wouldn't say something about his dead family members, or, you wouldn't try to shoot his mother. And that's how far things have gotten. Right now, it has become so immoral that you have to wonder if we're really dealing with human beings now. And again, parenting. I grew up in a home where, in as much as there's always domestic issues everywhere you grow up, but I grew up in a home where there was love, where my mom taught me how to love, my father showed me, certain things. And I feel that's important. It's an important basis, fundamental foundation for children to know what that is, to have an experience that's beyond what we're seeing right now. And I mean, guys, I know it's difficult. It's not easy. Of course it's difficult. That's why it's an ill. That's why we're talking about it. But the question is, how do you bridge through that huge conundrum that we're experiencing? That goes back to what I said in episode 2. Communities, like-minded communities. Guys, we always said it before. It takes a village. It really does. And if you don't think so, then look at the people who have a village around their kids. Look at the people who are invested in the lives of their children and the futures of their children. Why aren't you saving for this child's future? Why aren't you understanding that this child may not be as strong as you are, or as strong as you will, or is not subject to the same benefits in the era that you were born in, that they're currently born in comparison? Things have changed. And so being a parent means that you have to be a life guide. It's not just, I make this child and they're 18 years old and I leave them to the vultures. Well, guess what? Who made that rule up? No one knows. And maybe if you could research it, which you probably can, you find there's some guy who just said that. Who said that when you're 18, you're ready to see life and you're ready to know what's going on out there? Who said that you're supposed to be ready to be a full-blown adult at 18 years old? That's still a child. You know what I'm saying? Basically, you're aged, but you're still rather young. And it's important that parents realize that it's not a game when you go to court someone and you make a child, and it's not a joke. That's someone's life that you have an opportunity to change, to rearrange, to make good or make bad. And of course, every person has the ability at some point of free will, but before that, there's this thing we call preconditioning, and that's where parents come in. So it's important that you condition your children positively, that you spend the quality time with them, that you do make the time, because we make the time for all the things that we want to make the time for. We go to the raves and we go to the fetes, we see our friends and we consume drugs and alcohol. But do we make time for the things that really matter? The children, the youth. That's why we have all these idle minds running around doing nonsense. Because there's no hold. They had nothing to show respect. They had nothing to fall back on. They had nothing to think about and say, you know what, my mom probably wouldn't like me to do this, or you know what, my dad would really be disappointed in me doing something like that. Let me just stop, or let me just take a different route, or let me do this better. These kids go out doing like really dumb crime, things that you'd wonder like, why would you do that, bro? You're better off maybe just getting a 9-to-5, as limiting as a 9-to-5 might be. And that's the problem of the children today. Again, because of all these screens, they have no real worth behind why they have to do things. Get the 9-to-5. Get the 9-to-5, hustle, make some money, build yourself whilst working a 9-to-5. Whilst on the 9-to-5, you make networks on the 9-to-5. You make a coin on the 9-to-5, and you grow that coin, and you make something happen with that coin. You bring like minds together, you find the people that work with you, you find what your purpose is, and you steady and you start and you never stop, bro. And that's what you need to do. So it's going to be difficult, as with everything else that is profiting to you. All right, don't ever feel for a second that life is just going to throw a free wish at you. That's not how it works. Okay, you need to put the grit in, the grind in. You need to feel the pain and sacrifice, and that's how you're going to overcome these life stresses. Because a lot of the things that you're stressing on, it's things that happened in the past or things that you think will happen in the future. Whatever is happening now has already happened because it's now. And so there's nothing to stress about. Maybe you could say, well, Michael, you're being a little bit overt. Certainly you could stress about something. Doctor just calls you, hey, terminal cancer. Bro, you have 6 months to live. At the moment he tells you that, it's suddenly very, very daunting. But of course you realize that we all already know that we're supposed to die. And we're so scared of it. And that's the system again, inflicting pain in our lives, unnecessary pain in our lives, with fear-based tactics. We're afraid of everything. We're afraid of our creator, we're afraid of our parents, we're afraid of, the future, afraid of what could happen if we do that, we're afraid of what had already happened. But just stop being afraid of things so much. Put your best foot forward, get a good team, and do your best. Because that's all there is. So there's nothing to stress about. You're stressing about things that could possibly happen if you don't put the necessary effort and the right moves in, and things that have already happened which you can absolutely change in no way. So it's about keeping a steady mind, keeping focus, always reflecting on the things that have happened so that you can make better choices moving forward. It's like, again, not being a parent, realizing the scope of what's going on, realizing ways that you could do things better, and then when you do it better because you've already looked at and observed this process. And that's how everything happens with life. So take the time out as parents to give your children a listening ear. Have a talk with them about what happened today, what really happened, and like how you felt about that. These children are the upcoming leaders, fathers, for the ones that are doing the great jobs. Guys, keep it going. We need more like you, okay? The children need leaders. The women need leaders, all right? This feminism thing is a problem. And the problem is we have been lacking as men. That's what it is. We have not been the real leaders that we're supposed to be. And so the women have tried to grab the baton from us, and they've tried to run with it. And they're doing okay. But at the end of the day, you ask any woman, no matter if she is a scholar or if she is, at a high level, if she would like a man to cater to her and provide for her, she would tell you yes, easily, off the bat. It's because innately that's what they need, right? And you could never lead a woman without having certain core values. And parents, fathers, instill these values in your children, right? Tell them something that they will never forget, right? That's the beauty of parenting. You're creating a process for this child, and they will never forget you, right? You're the first for everything for them, and the onus is on you to give them a beautiful experience, right? Talk to your children about the things that really matter, not just math and English, not just go to bed. Talk to them about the origins of mankind. Talk to them about why things work the way they work. Talk to them about who you were when you were a child, how the experience was for you. And maybe they could derive something from that and really blossom into individuals or people that you could be proud of as parents. It doesn't take much. Presence over presence. You get it? Be there or be square. Alright? So guys, this episode has been kind of like a reminder, something to just get you clicking mentally on how you could really make this experience worthwhile for your children. How we could steer the children away from the idle mind and not necessarily having the focus that they need to achieve the purpose that they have. Okay? And of course, not maintaining these stresses that are just more or less false. These are fictitious. Stay focused. Stay steady. Alright? So guys, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Comment. I need you to hit the notification bell as well. We're going to keep this coming, and I need to see more of you. Also, leave any suggestions that you might have in the comments below. Alright? See you next time.